Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is Daybreak Africa from KAFTAN Television. I am Kareen Edet. So today we'll be looking at tax reforms, its effect on businesses in Nigeria. And I'm not here in the studio alone. We have with us Gbenga Ajisafe. We trust that he will do justice to today's topic. Good to have you in the studio.
Welcome on Daybreak Africa.
Yeah, good morning. It's good to be here.
Quickly, I would like to ask, when it comes to transparency in Nigeria, it's more like we're we are far from it. I say this word respectfully. I tend to ask the question at this point. When it comes to taxation, how transparent is the issue of taxation in Nigeria? I mean, from the period where it's been collected to the point where it's been disbursed to various states and, allocated appropriately.
Well, in Nigeria, the tax have not been too transparent enough, and it's not the fault of the government alone. It's a holistic thing. It's a general things that the systems have not been able to capture so many people to pay tax, whether individuals or non-formal sectors, because the government are just too much focusing on these normal sectors, and the informal sectors are not being carried along in tax payment. So the effectiveness of the tax payment is not something to write home about.
Okay, so still on the issue of transparency, it has been mentioned recently that the late administration aims to roll out tax and revenue reforms and incorporate it into digitization, where it will open up for more transparency and accountability. How does the implementation of this policy, or how will it affect businesses in Nigeria?
Yeah, it have a lot to do with the word you say, transparency. You have a lot to do with how people being sincere about what we intend doing. It's tax. How do we intend telling people what the end results will look like? The business aspect of it, you have direct tax, you have indirect tax, you have VAT. So all these are multiple tax, and the system, the reform aspect of it is to gear up all these things together and see how people can pay direct and appropriate tax, especially the companies and the industries that we have here in Nigeria. So how do we get these people to pay correct tax payment? And that is why this administration is coming up with this reform, so that we get the clear pictures of where we need to be. As a moment now, we have less than what we intend getting. So as Nigerians, about 200 something millions, how much people are paying tax? How many people are paying tax? We ask informal and formal sectors. So the formal sectors are the only actually the areas they are capturing, and the not formal sectors are outside it. They are not being captured. So these are the challenges and the effect of those areas that the government should work on.
Do you think this reform actually brings solution to our challenges in Nigeria? It sounds fancy talking about going digital, trying to do this electronically and technologically. And the last time we tried to go electronically, we ended up in court, and we are still in court for that. So is this really the solution to our problem?
We have to move along the world. If the world is what is talking about digitalization at the 2023, and we are still backwards, I think we are not getting it. If South Africa, Mozambique, Rwanda, they are ahead of us, we shouldn't be we should be digitalizing everything. So we cannot say we are not getting it. As a matter of fact, we ought to have started before now. So it's a good way on a good direction. So it's a good way. What we just need is what we said earlier, is transparency. We want people to be accountable for money they are being taken from people's. How much are we still going to be running a zero account on this? So single account to run all this money taxation that is coming in, so that we know the actual money that is coming in. Because if people are paying tax and we are not seeing the effect of those tax payers' money in the streets, so it shows that people are not going to be willing to pay tax. So that areas also the government have to work onto, so that people will see what they are paid, and how is the government using their money for? What are those things that they are using their money for? These are areas that the government should work on also, so that people can easily pay tax without not being stressful.
You know, come innovation comes it's a form of demerit. So now, what's your take as to say the maintenance cost amongst other challenges this new innovation might bring?
The maintenance cost, yeah. Actually, you said the hazard, the effects, and the disadvantage of it have a lot also to consider. But take or leave, we are talking about 30 to 70% here. We have about 70% more advantage that we are going to be having a lot of money coming in. So if we are putting out 30% into manned digitals and computers and ICTs, I think it's worth it, so that we can have 70% revenue to generate enough fund for the economies to grow, because gone are the days that whereby Nigerians as a country are doing out money. They don't know what to do with money. I think it was the head of state then, it was Gbenga that was there, that was dishing out money. He said we don't have problem with money, we only have problem with how to spend the money. So since then, ever since then, Nigeria have been owing debt now. You can see the rate of debt we are holding. So that's why we have to look inward. It's not about resources we have now, it's about how do we pay our debt. So the government also have to tax people so that they can pay and do more infrastructural things that we are going to benefit from.
Okay, so you made mention of Rwanda and other countries where we see that they adapt to changes, of course, and then it seems as though Nigeria is still lagging behind, or probably we are, getting there. So what do you think Nigeria can actually learn from these other countries who are adapting to these changes and ensuring that their means of generating revenue is on point? Yeah,
I want to believe that I think it was in 1895 or so that Nigerian copied the British government of taxations, and ever since that we have moved from there to 1960s to 1990 structural adjustment and all those stuff. We borrows. It's not as if we have our own. We also borrow from other countries to studies, and so it gives rooms for you to develop. There's no how we are going to learn from Rwandans and South Africans to see how they are able to generate 25% of their income tax revenue to 35. So if we've not gotten it, we are still below 15 now. We are probably 13 of. So we cannot really say how far we've gone. So if we're able to tap from these countries and learn from their reforms, how they're able to gather those ideas and generate money from the society, I think it's better for the countries and for people to enjoy Nigerians. So people who come and do business here in Nigerians should be able to pay tax. So, and the government should use that tax money to put infrastructure so that people will come in, more people, investors will come in and do more business here in Nigeria.
And you spoke about debts. Yes, we know that Nigeria is still owing. So, I mean, what do you think? Okay, you made mention of taxing people more. So, do you think with more taxation, we'll be able to pay off the debts we are currently owing?
No. It's not as if we are going to be using the tax money to be servicing debt. Mm-hmm. No. It's because we are shortage of cash. So, and the reason is that we have leaders that have mismanaged our resources. I talk about the other time that when Gohan was still there, he was dishing out money to some African brothers, some African countries. They called Nigeria big brothers then. So we are paying salaries of workers outside these countries. We are paying people who are dashing out money. We don't know what to do. We embark on an elephant project that is not helping us, that are not putting things to giving us back. And today we find ourselves in this mess, the mess of borrowing, just to do project, to put Nigerian at speed. So how do we get this money back? Is one, we use our revenue, our local revenue here, what we have as something that is bringing us money. We have crude oil, we have our sea, so we use it to make money. But individual companies that are running here must also pay tax, so that the benefit of road you are using, the benefit of hospital you want to go, you know, these are areas that the schools, these are places that the money should go. So you're talking about buses, palliative, you are talking about palliative. These are areas that those money should roll in.
Now, the thing is, when you spoke on borrowing, you said we shouldn't naturally use our taxes to service our debt. But the thing is, I think we actually tend to borrow to even service such debt. Still on that, Nigeria ranks are very low on the global ease of paying taxes, while the country's tax to GDP ratio is one of the lowest in the world. This has led to over-reliance on borrowing to finance public spending. Directly to you, are we ever going to get out of the issue of borrowing at all?
I think that,
or anytime soon at all.
I think that what we just finished saying is that public spending, the rate the government is overburdened of spending money on politicals, office holders, and that's the area. That's why we are having a lot of issues. We have people that are. I think in this morning we are hearing in the news that some directors earn more money than ministers, and so you can imagine that if a civil servant is earning more money, right, and you are now asking, why is the minimum wage? Why is 30,000? Why some people are earning millions and some people are earning 30,000? It's not justified. And you now ask those who are earning that money, are they really paying their tax? Are they? These are people that are hiding under the government, under the systems, the bad systems, and these are why this reform have to come in. I want to believe that with the reform, people who earn more should pay more. And those who have businesses that are running and making more money from the country, because of security, we have this, we pay debt. We are not going to pay debt. We are going to service some area, like the security aspect of it. We are going to be buying arms, paying the Nigerian army, the Nigerian navies, the Air Force. We are going to be buying warship. These are areas that we are going to be putting money also. So it's not about paying debt alone. We are going to have security in our territory should be secured. So the tax is meant for all this, to cater for all this. And if we are not doing that, we are not going to be free as a country to see what we intend to gain as the world is moving away from all this we are facing today, the challenges.
All right, so speaking about incentives, how does this affect economic growth in Nigeria? Now, you made mention of most politicians and probably ministers anymore, and the certainty of them paying their taxes thin. So how does these incentives, how does it affect economic growth in Nigeria? Or should I say, is it possible that it can be cut down? Let's say if it was 100%, probably it can be cut down to a certain percent to cater for other needs in the country.
Yes, I want to believe that those who intend doing this, their focus is to cushion the effects of the societies. And if prevention, you are a businessman, you are transparent enough to tell the country that you are earning such amount of money, and there is a fixed amount that you need to pay it, and you pay it. It doesn't mean that your business is not growing. As a matter of fact, so far the security is there to protect your business. So far the environment is okay for your staffs. Your raw materials is coming in at when due. There's a light, there's a power supply. All these provisions are there. So if you are making 70% out of what, and they are taking out of 100%, you are making 70, and they are taking 30 or less than that, I think it's a win-win thing. It doesn't mean that you are not making anything at all. It's the fact is that there is areas that they need to assist you, and the government have go ahead and do that, and you are seeing it. You are seeing the result. So you shouldn't be too skeptical to pay or be afraid to pay the tithe. I mean the tax you're going to pay.
You know, it's easy to actually talk about tax and talk about our deficit, but you know, for a fact, we have deficits that are really unaccounted for. We have had financial leaks over the years. Recently, we saw the Auditor General financial statement, and there was millions that are really not accounted for, cannot be accounted for. How best can we approach the situation? Because it's more like it's not the tax or taxation as the issue, actually, but that's a level of integrity, you know, integrity that should be annexed while actually appropriating such funds. Now, with all these financial leaks, how best do you think the government should really attack the situation?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ezekiel. I want to tell you one thing that the last administration was trying to do one singular account. I think if it can be borrowed up from that lead, and this Tinubu administration should also copy that, all tax should be paid to one particular account. The federal government should have a singular account. So if any money is coming in, it will be easy for them to trace. If money is coming out, it will be easy for them to trace. The more you have multiple accounts for taxpayers, the problem is that you are going to be having these areas of people looting, or it's easily for them to siphon those money, because if they want to take account Zenith or account First Bank or account UBA, before you know it, they are taking, they may be using only 2 accounts around, and the rest is for personal use for the directors and all that. So if they are using one singular account, it will be easier for everybody to know that this money is going directly to this account. So, and the money getting there, it will be easy for everybody to account for. How do you spend so trillions of money? Because at the other time, the money will be coming down as a trillion. So I think they should borrow from that leave and use one singular account to run all taxation they want to do.
You know, when it comes to taxation, citizens tend to actually accuse the state governors more for lack of judicious use of their tax money. I tend to wonder, are the state governors solely responsible for tax money? You know, or should we actually have a body which will be responsible, probably say the agency or probably the federal government itself? Who should be held accountable for tax?
We tax as a federal entities, where we run a federal system of government in Nigeria. We have the federal have its own tax you pay, the state have its own tax you pay, and the local government have its own tax to pay. So everybody fall into that areas. So you pay, if it's federal, you pay to the state where you reside, you pay to the local government where when you stay also. So those people have their own, every aspect of these tiers of government have each body commission to manage their tax for them, and directly to the state government, directly to the federal government, and directly to the local government. So if they are generating the money comes directly to the account of the state governor. If local government is generating this money, it's come directly to the local government administrative account. So if the federal government is generating its own account, it comes directly, federal government tax comes directly to the federal government account also. So those 3 bodies, those 3 tiers of the government have committees that is generating tax money.
There is actually a general belief, and you slightly made mention, but I would like to really get your view on that. It's more like, how true is this notion that tax is rather burdensome on the vulnerable than on the rich? How true is that?
It's true that. Well, I think it was Malcolm X stroke. What is this man? I want to remember his name now. He was talking about the big men, the rich men. They dodge tax. They know what is entails, that they want to pay more, so they would like to have a way of not paying. You can imagine that we have the richest man in Africa. Alhaji Dangote is the richest in Africa. He pays less tax than somebody who is the richest in South Africa. You know, yeah, because there's a lot of rooms that you are not getting it here. Somebody in South Africa is paying, the richest man in South Africa is paying more than the richest man in Africa. So the system is giving the rich rooms not to pay tax. So the rich always have rooms to move along with the tax system, unless we get it right and let them pay more. So the commoners are still the one that is affecting more.
I think what exactly is making our tax system in Nigeria rather complex? Because as it stands, it's more like nobody can really pinpoint how this thing works.
It's complex in
people tend to believe it's complex. Now, for instance, we have multi-agencies actually for taxation. I tend to walk around and speak to locals around, and I was trying to understand for more like they have 5-10 different bodies, you know, coming around to take tax.
Yes,
and that.
Yes.
So it becomes rather burdensome.
That is multiple taxing
or complex, and so I tend to wonder what's up with this complexity. And
that is the area that we intend to achieve as a government of today administration. They need to work on this. Multiple taxing is just the problems of Nigeria today. We have local governments come with their revenues. You must pay this. The state will come up or again with similar tax. You pay for so thing for the state. The federal government will almost come down, but if not because they are not close to the state, but the state and the local government are the one that is more closer to the people, and you can always see them around you taxing people, and it's a problem also. Those who have jobs, those who run small business, micro business, they're having problem with paying all this tax, and the government also have to look at it and see how it can single all this tax to one digit, so that people will not be paying multiple tax as the challenge you have just mentioned.
Okay, so before we roll out on the issue of the rich and the vulnerable, what do you think are some of the measures that can be put in place to ensure that the vulnerable are not being oppressed as they are being done currently, and it is ensured that the rich, the billionaires, if I may say, do their job by paying the taxes? Because it seems I don't know if I should call them the less privileged. I mean, yes, they seem to be more oppressed, and nobody cares about the multi-billionaires. So what are the measures that can be put in place to ensure that those who are earning more should pay more?
I think one of the very much things that this administration should look into, and I think they have started it, is for them to go this digital way. And the next thing is taking the covenants of these digitals to their various banks, the BVN and the NIN, link all this together to make sure that the rich are paying more tax, because they enjoy and they have it, and they can afford to pay this. I think the vulnerable people with the NIN and the BVN, able to see how these people are not making much. So you cannot ask somebody who don't have much at his hand on his account, and you don't have him to customer and pay some of that money. So these are areas that these reforms should look into, and make sure that they use this opportunity to link those two areas of national identity card, the NIM and the BVN, to make sure that they tap from the people, so that they're able to get to the root of these challenges we have.
You actually spoke about the rich invading taxes. I tend to wonder, how do they exactly evade tax, and why the government turning the blind eye to it? Why the right agencies turning a blind eye to it, if that is true?
Because the rich are smarter. The rich are smarter. The rich are not just vulnerable, as you use that word. You don't use that word. The rich are smarter in the sense that there's no how you placed reforms or the tax policies that they will always look for a way to bring it to not to pay tax. Have you not seen it in overseas, where players earn big monies and they jump tax? After some 10 years or 5 years, they start looking for them and say, you did not pay us about 5 years when you stay in our country. So people earn more money, but they don't want to pay tax. You see them in Spain, you see all these people jump taxpayers. Even after 20 years of Maradona resign, they still drag him to Italy to tell him that you have not paid tax of any social amount of money in our country. So these are areas that people jump tax. In Spain, it happened. So the rich, those who earn big don't want to pay tax. That is just the normal thing. They fit anywhere. It's the natural things in the skins of the woman body. They don't want to pay tax because the fat you want to take from their earning. So that is their mindset. So the rich also in Nigeria are similar. They don't want to pay because the fat they owns all the money. They have no need to pay back. So that's why they don't want to pay.
Okay, so findings have revealed that there has been several recommendations that government should waive out certain tax reforms on businesses that are just growing, so as to help them mature. So what can you say regarding this?
Yes, the government don't want to kill those people. So the government should not tax or should not put burden into those businesses as it's just coming up. So the government should let those companies grow and employ people so that those company can grow here. These are areas that this reform, those who are super rich should be able to look and let others grow so that the economy can balance up. So the more we have little company coming up and we are not cleaning them with tax or we are not pushing them out of business, the better for the country to grow. Because we want a better Nigeria, we want a better country whereby we can relax and say this is our country. People can come and take vacation and come for holidays and come for tourists. These are things that Nigeria is praying for. So if we want all this, we must let the small scale business grow. We must let the government assist them, let them register through the CAC, take their data, borrow their money. Let's make sure that their business is growing up. These are areas that the government can assist.
We're almost running out of time, but quickly, away from digitizing a tax, what other manner, what other way do you think the government actually put in place to ensure appropriate collection of taxes and then its appropriate disbursement to appropriate states and bodies?
Appropriate ways of generating tax is we have two formal sectors. We have indirect and formal sectors, whereby the government have taken charge of those one already. So the challenges that the government is facing now is non-formal sectors. Those assistants, the bricklayers, the welders, the bread sellers, the pop-up sellers, the akara woman that is selling on the streets. How do we generate tax from those people? Those are the challenges the government is having now. And that's why I say the government should be able to use the BVN and NIN to scrutinize and see our areas that they can see and use those numbers, those digit numbers.
And don't forget, not every market seller who's selling akara on the street actually has a BVN. Talk more on NIN. So
the funniest thing is that you don't know that all these people have phone numbers, and the more you have phone numbers, you have all this thing that is coming in. So if we have market women that are 50s and we have about 30 that have phone numbers, I think the government is on the right path to generate money, and from that we can move on. We know we cannot capture them all, but at least we are going to get there. If we have phone numbers, you have all these things I'm talking about. There's no phone number, there's no NIN.
Okay. All right, thank you for joining us on Daybreak.
Once again.
All right. Viewers, you heard it all. I guess we really have a tax at hand when it comes to taxation in Nigeria. Now, kindly at this point, we're handing over to Lagos. Still really have so much more for you. I remain Ezekiel, Ogar.
And until next time, I'm Kareen, Edet.